6:0 zu. Fünf, 9, 6. 3, 2, 4.
Ja, bitte.
Okay, ihr Lieben, dann würde ich sagen, schalten wir gemeinsam Richtung Weltbild und fangen an. Wir zählen von 7 gemeinsam runter. Das heißt, bevor wir dann anfangen, würde ich gerne mal bei euch hören, wie bei euch die Stimmung ist in der Arena. Das war uns ein bisschen Gefühl dann bewegen.
Ich zähle jetzt von 3 runter, Arena, und dann lasst ihr es machen. Versprochen? 3, 2, 1.
Together, for example. No?
Also bei uns ist super, sehe ich, das macht wahnsinnig viel Spaß. Und ich würde sagen, jetzt begrüßen wir auch gleich Kontinente aus ganz Deutschland und zwar 10, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to Oberhof, where trimester 2 and 2026 begins. And while the return of the Biathlon World Cup traditionally brings about excitement, today's competition will carry a more sombre feel as the Biathlon family mourns the tragic loss of Sivert Gottorm Bakken. The 2021 and 22 Mass Start Globe winners return to the top level of racing this season, brought so much joy to those who had followed his journey. And we are devastated by the passing of such a talented young athlete. Tributes will continue throughout the days to come and of course the season, as our thoughts are with Sivert's family and friends, his team and all the members of the Norwegian Biathlon family at this very difficult time. It's worth noting that due to bad weather, as you can see on your screens there, we have both of the weekend sprint competitions taking place today. And with the start of the men's sprint at an earlier time today, Chad Salmela, the Biathlon family, of course, it is called a family for the reason that we all know so well. And like any close-knit unit, this has been an incomprehensible loss.
Yeah, it's unprecedented in the sport to have to be in season and have one of the most focused upon athletes in the world pass in the course of the season, and it's a shock. Obviously, most people were away for holiday at the time that it happened, but Sivert Bakken's family and the entire Norwegian team, the entire Biathlon family, as we call ourselves, really affected by this. And I think that we see the fact that several of his closest mates from the team are not here at this event, and I think it's a little too raw and a little too early for that to be expected among the stars of the sport. And you know, but as we would expect, Sivert Bakken to want us to move on. I think we're all trying, and that takes everybody's own course of time at this point. So, but we're going to spend some time today to really appreciate the man and what he's done in the sport and the friend he's been to so many.
Yeah, you make a brilliant point there, Chad. He was someone who raced to the highest level, held the highest standards of himself, his teammates, not just who wore the Norwegian flag, but those who he trained with from different nations as well. Tommaso Giacomel coming out yesterday and delivering a really emotional but a really well-spoken interview. It was quite the emotional watch, and I do encourage you, if you haven't seen it already, to do go and watch it. And he really lays bare the reason why he's decided to race, decided to come out. He says that he feels ready to race. He wouldn't be here if if he didn't, and he wanted to pay respects, of course, to Sivert and his family, but said that he would, as one of his closest friends, want him to be racing, particularly this year where there's so much at stake.
Yeah, it's just there's no way to really get past it as we remember Sivert Gudrun-Bakken.
Number 1 bib, retired for today. As his teammates and close friend Tommaso Giacomel all stand together as the stadium here in Oberhof remembers the life of Sivert Bakken. Well, a beautifully observed dedication to Sivert Gudrun-Bakken, who we tragically lost over the winter period. No one wearing bib number 1 today, that dedicated to the Norwegian, as we get racing underway with bib number 2 and Renars Birkenfels, the 24-year-old from Latvia, but this is 6th season, 6th year on the World Cup circuit.
A heavy and tough spot to be in the start order, but carrying on this young man, a bright future, Jakub Kubin from Estonia. His personal best earlier this season in Östersund. He finished 12th in the opening individual competition, and has kind of gave notice to the world that he is somebody to be taken seriously in the future from Estonia. And he's on course ahead of Thierry Langer of Belgium.
Well, it will no doubt be a challenging day, and to just say one day really doesn't give it enough weight. It will be a challenging rest of the season for the Norwegian team, and a really beautiful image as they embrace Tommaso Giacomel as one of their own, one of the athletes that was closest to Bakken and was due to train with him on the morning of his passing.
And just sort of puts everything in perspective. These athletes give so much of their time, their effort, their lives to this sport, and the relatively trivial nature of it all in comparison. But at the same time, they have to pick up and move on and be who they are as athletes. And David Zobel continues to push as well for Germany, and I think, but it's a great moment for the entire sport to just take some stock into what they're really engaged in, and the kind of the relative importance of it to life and health.
Here's Tony Vidmar of Slovenia. Personal best of 15th in the sprint.
These first 15 athletes ranked in the 30s to 50s overall in the World Cup standing. Some of them a little bit over 50th, like Dominic Unterweger, 67th second. But this start order started new last year, and it works really well. The start order is actually seated fairly evenly with the level of athletes, so that the first time checks you get are pretty competitive with each other, and then the seeded groups, of the blue and red groups, come through after bib 30, or after bib 16, excuse me.
Someone who'll be pushing for a top 20 finish today, Chad. You feel Jonas Malacek, the 24-year-old who has a personal best in this discipline of 10th from Antholz last season.
He's got the personal best, tied for the best personal best of the athletes who've started so far. Tuomas Harjula is on course for Finland. He had a 10th place as a World Cup best as well, but Maracek certainly one of the best, earliest athletes to head out on course.
Here's Jacques Jeffries of Great Britain, recently transferred from wearing the French flag over to the British flag. This is third World Cup start. He qualified for the pursuit on his debut at a home course, really, for him at Annecy-le-Grand-Bonnard. And well, has good history in the sport, competing on the IBU Cup and the Junior Cup for France before picking up the colours of Great Britain through his parents.
And in this Olympic year, it's a nice boost for Great Britain. They have a dual citizen who has kind of the chops of a guy like Jacques Jeffries to carry the British flag into this Olympic season.
As we see David Zobel making his way around the course, has the best time so far, 3.6 of a kilometre. Chad, it's a beautiful sight, isn't it, Oberhof, with these tall trees that today have that dusting, the white dusting of the snow. Challenging conditions over the course of this weekend in terms, maybe not so much for the athletes today, but apart from the fog, which they'll of course expect here in Oberhof, but more so for the event directors who have had to make changes to the schedule.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a crunch now. You start to wear out your volunteers with a two-day event, but this venue is very well known. It's been part of the World Cup circuit for most of the last 30 years. It stops here almost annually, and it's, in the last decade, it's been an annual stop. But this Oberhof venue has been reconfigured two times in a major way for the 2004 World Championships, which is the stadium setup you see now, this sort of 3/4 of a track and field stadium layout, and that was for the World Championships in 2004. And then in 2023, the buildings you see and the stands behind it are all new from just less than 3 years ago. It's a state-of-the-art facility,
which has, of course, so much going on around it as well in terms of the multi-sport aspect in both summer and winter. This is bib number 13, Stefansson of Sweden. This was a personal best of 10th. That came in the sprint in Östersund this season. Made a strong start to the season and proved in Hochfilzen and in Annecy as well that he can climb well in the pursuit. And here's someone who knows a lot about pursuits, the world champion from 2019, Dmytro Poduchny of Ukraine.
There's one kind of shining moment to Poduchny. I think back then he thought that he might establish himself as one of the top athletes in the world, which has yet to happen. I think the tumult in his country since then has probably been a big factor in that. As you see, David Zobel now coming through the 1.9 kilometer mark. Again, this is the 3 kilometer loop. He's coming to the top of what is called a Birksteig, which is a famous climb in this Oberhof venue, which is probably one of the hardest climbed in the sport.
James Pakal of Switzerland. This is just his 10th World Cup start. He's never qualified for a World Cup pursuit. Finished just outside of the top 60 in Annecy before the Christmas break. Can he change the record today and make some of his own personal history?
There you see Isaac Frey. He is still trying to make a case for the Olympic team. Not sure he's making that case yet, but continuing to have faith that he can get to the Olympic Games. Here's Vita Strolia now from Lithuania, top Lithuanian athlete for a number of years.
4 flower ceremonies on the World Cup, 2 of those have come in the sprint. And Chad, someone you know well, who booked his place at the Olympics over the course of the winter break.
Paul Schomer, he has come back from what seemed to be a career-ending knee issue that just kind of cleared up on its own over the last year and a half. Has stayed true to his focus and is now a two-time Olympian. He's been named to the U.S. team just last week, a few days ago.
A dominant performance at those U.S. trials. Chad winning all 3 of the races.
Small trials. It was on the Olympic courses in Italy. They're all in Antolz last week, and it's just 5 men on the start order, but 2 were going to go, and he was one of them. And you know, when you win all 3, that's going to get you on the Olympic team.
Here's Jan Gunker of Poland. Big improvements in terms of his results this season. Better performances on the skis, and despite a slight drop-off in the shooting performances, his rankings have stepped up massively, finishing 13th in the pursuit. In Onsila Grombornal setting a new personal best. Has 2 top 20 finishes this season and has flown out of the box. Can he replicate that today?
I think so. He's a very strong athlete. I think if you look at the junior level, he's been in the top 5 in the junior score. He's been 3rd overall in the 2022 season as a junior, and that's a sign that he's got the capacity to be at the world level. In fact, all of the Polish team, I think they've got a great young team to watch for the future.
Yeah, keep your eyes on bib 21, who will emerge into the gates soon. Gregor Galitza, just 18 years old, hotly tipped and gaining a lot of attention. We will see him emerge soon. Here's Olli Hiidensalo, though, first of Finland.
Yeah, the opposite end of the spectrum, 34 years of age. His season winding down, but he had a spectacular World Championship finish, and individual finish 4th. For him, that was a huge step forward, and has had a great season so far. Hiidensalo having some of his best races of his career. He was 14th on C. Grombornal in the sprint. It was his best sprint of his, or tied for his best, or three worse than his best sprint ever, which is in Hofeld's in 2022, but still racing at or near his best sprint capacity so far this year.
Well, there's the red wind flags, Chad, that are taking a little bit of a battering as our first few athletes trickle into the range. We're keeping our eyes on Thierry Longa. What do you make of the shooting conditions today?
They're pretty normal, pretty situation normal for Oberhof. There's always going to be some wind. We're seeing 7 meters or 4 kilometers per hour right now, which is not very high, but it's been up to 7 or 8 kilometers per hour. When it starts to get over 10, you start to see misses. At 2 kilometers an hour, you can see Thierry Langer shooting, the wind going left to right. It's not really affecting the trajectory of the bullet. He's clean. But there's going to be some wind there, but it's going to have to get up over 10 kilometers per hour to really affect the biathlon or the prone target.
Here's David Zobel, who comes in 12.9 seconds in the lead.
Longer your leader now.
And 5 out of 5 for David Zobel. And he will lead. You imagine with the lead.
Well, you love the reaction.
Comes around the corner.
You're getting the Oberhof reaction from the Germans already. Zobel firing up this crowd at 7.3 seconds ahead of Langer now. That's a good, solid start for David Zobel. Zobel a -1 to the average time of the ski field for a ranking, which is, see, the fastest guys this year are -5 in Samuelson and Ponsalona, so 4% slower than the fastest guys in the field. But Zobel, when he lights it up, can definitely be in there with a clean shooting day. This fog is pretty typical of Oberhof. We are used to these conditions. It looks pretty bad on our screen, but it can get much worse. And I think this is actually it's actually not very tough conditions to shoot, because the fog makes it, the flat light in the fog actually makes it easy on the eye to adjust in the aperture. Your eye doesn't work quite as hard in this soft light to focus.
Tony Vidmar coming in trailing by 9.2 seconds, but 5 out of 5 in his first of 2 visits to the range.
Yeah, Vidmar not quite the ski prowess of the German. He's 2% slower than the German by statistics this year, so he will not take the lead. 10.4 seconds back after shooting 3rd place.
Here is Kuchma of Czechia as we leap up the bib numbers to 26, the Olympic silver medalist in the sprint in Pyeongchang.
And so he's clearly capable of it. It's been 8 years since that result, but Kuchma is kind of one of those guys that you always have on your sheet as somebody who, if he lights it up, has a great day, but never really the favorite. -2 skiing, which is solid. It's certainly, but to win in a sprint or to be on the podium, you have to have, you're not, a guy who skis like him, you have to have outsized ski performance to do that.
Didier Bionats, who carries a personal best of 11th from the mass start in Canmore in 2024, still hunting for that first top 10 finish on the World Cup.
Still waiting for somebody to come in and ski anywhere near the time of Zobel coming into the shooting range. Zobel's clean through shooting 1, and he leads. Still 9 seconds faster than anybody coming into the range, so we'll be watching for that first fast skier in. Braunhofer 18 seconds back of Zobel. Nice cadence. Sub 3 seconds. You want to see that 2.5 to 3 seconds is a pretty common cadence. Nice shooting by Braunhofer. Patrick Braunhofer leaving the shooting range. He will drop into the 4th spot, 19.2 seconds back. So not a real credible threat to David Zobel. Right now, Zobel from bib number 5, the class of the field, through shooting number 1. Dimitro Produchny is challenging him, but only 7.4 seconds back. So Zobel, from the early start number of 5, is proving to be the class of the field early in the going of this sprint in Oberhof. Now, Produchny comes in to shooting number 1, and he is Malte Stephenson now. 9.3 seconds in arrears to Zobel. Zobel continuing to hold the fastest ski time by nearly 10 seconds.
Simon Eder making his way out onto the course, 42 years old, but still going strong, a 3-time World Cup winner.
Stephenson came out this week. It was the most improved athlete over period 1. So he's taken the biggest step forward, but two misses is gonna shoot that honor right in the foot.
Twice around the 150-meter penalty loop he goes as Produchny starts his first shoot and is carrying a good cadence through the first 3.
And 1 miss for Produchny. That's going to be tough because he's not really challenging David Zobel right now. And Zobel still at every time check is in the lead so far early on in this in the going. He's leading by 3.9 seconds over Produchny at 1.9 kilometers, 4.9 seconds ahead at 2.5. So really nobody launching a credible attack from early. So Zobel with a head of steam on the skis, leading early from bib 5. Campbell Wright getting ready. His leg is very popular. Maybe one of the most popular biathletes in the world right now.
I think he's quickly become a fan favourite after his performances in Lenzerheide last year at the World Championships. Someone who is full of energy and doing biathlon his way, as he likes to put it. Here's Vitaltas Strolia of Lithuania, starts with a miss.
And he's 11.3 seconds back already. Not sure why the miss. The wind does not look like it's taking the shots out of the prone ring. And the shooting so far from point number 1, pretty good. 7 of 13 clean so far. And Tout and Strolia having an absolute, a dirty stage. 5. Maybe we'll look for some feedback from the coaching staff, but at this point, his first 2 competitions of the weekend are pretty much ruined with that shooting stage, because this turns into a pursuit of it.
Pavel Magaziev of Moldova, bib number 35, a 37-year-old.
And Magaziev has been competing for a number of years, 37 years of age. Here's another of the pole, the bib number 18, Jan Gunka, 23 years of age. He's kind of the oldest guy of the team right now, but a huge future, especially in a relay, if these guys can develop as they show the ability. And Gunka with a good shooting, not going to take the top time after shooting 1, but should move in to the top 5. He's 4th, 10.8 seconds back. There he is.
Still, no one able to challenge the time on the skis, and indeed in the first visit to the range of David Zobel. Here's Florent Claude, who is setting off just 30 seconds behind his younger brother Fabien.
Fabien Claude is midway through the blue group, which is the second, ranked between 15th and 30th in the overall standings. That's the group going out every other minute in this start order right now between bib number 16 and 45. Now, Grzegorz Galica, the 18-year-old, still a junior for another 2 years. 10.2 seconds back of Zobel. It's not terribly fast, but it's 6th faster on the blue, and a very fast shooting time for Galica. And that should possibly put him in the lead with the quick shooting.
Excellent shooting from the 18-year-old. He'll have to round the corner. It will be close to the time of David Zobel. We may even see it pass as we do, but into second he goes, just 1.2 seconds behind the long-standing time of the early leader, David Zobel.
And Galica's showing you the kind of risk you need. If you have the ski ability that he has, he needs to actually make the time in the range, which he did there. Galica trailed by 10.2 seconds and made up almost 10 seconds on Zobel, 1.2 seconds shy of 10 seconds. And he's out in second place now. Here's Zobel from the standing position. Can he go clean? He starts with a hit. Oh.
Well, if he wants around the penalty loop, you could hear the groans, Chad, from the German fans who were willing him on all the way round. Bib number 5, it's not a bad day in the office, but he would have loved to go 10 for 10.
Well, the other thing is that you don't get this opportunity very often when you're skiing that well with his pedigree, that a clean shooting day for him could have been very special and maybe even got him in the top 10, top 5, and it would have given the Germans something to get raucous about. But that miss, it's going to take a little bit of the luster off of his performance. We got Thierry Longer clean through the second shooting stage. We see Vítězslav Horník take to the shooting, and he has a miss. But Longer is going to be supplanted after shooting 2 by Zobel by just 3.2 seconds.
Yeah, I'll be disappointed with that miss. Vítězslav Horník had perfect shooting in on-sea and the sprint to finish 9th, equaling his 3rd best World Cup performance.
Here's 25, his teammate, Nicolas Karlik.
Well, interestingly, we have in both the men's and the women's races today, the Czech athletes really packed together. We have 3 in a row, then a Norwegian, and then another Czech in the women's race around sort of middle of the start order. And similarly in the men's today, a mix around, but the Czech athletes bunched together, and it's a good start for Nicolas Karlik, who now misses as Vidmar pulls up in the stand.
Oh, 2 misses. Skiing well. That was good first ski lap for Karlik. But sometimes when in Oberhof, especially where the range is tough, it's a long climb into the range. You don't get a lot of break. So this is one of the tougher ranges on the World Cup circuit. And today it's probably it's playing a little nicer than normal. It's still not easy, but it's there's a little bit of wind, but not a lot of wind. There's a little bit of fog, but not a lot of fog. It's, you know, in Hochfilzen, this might be considered rough conditions, but in Oberhof, this is situation normal. In fact, maybe situation a little bit better than normal.
Malešek in for his standing shoot, starts well. Anton Vidmar comes out of the range in 3rd, trailing by 18.8 seconds. A first miss for Jonas Malešek of the day, 9 out of 10 for him.
So nobody, only 2 athletes clean so far through shooting number 2. That is Thierry Longer, who's in 2nd place, 3.2 seconds back of David Zobel with 1 miss. Vidmar of Slovenia also with clean shooting, but he's 18.8 seconds back of Zobel, so not skiing quite fast enough. Here's Tero Sepela now. But he's still 8 seconds back of Zobel, so this is a great performance by Zobel early on. Great skiing and 9 for 10, but somebody's going to go clean. And somebody probably faster than Zobel will go clean. So, but still, a great performance for the German to lead things off from bib 5.
1 miss for Tero Sepela. Could the person to go clean and quickly beat Campbell Wright? He breaks out of the start gates. Tero Sepela, of course, happy memories here as he goes once around the penalty loop, winning the single mixed relay with Suvi Minkkinen this time last year as Finland made some relay history for themselves.
He's been 30 now. The veteran from the Austrian team, Simon Eder, currently ranked 21st in the World Cup overall and in the sprint standings. So even at over 40 years of age, still very relevant, being a top 20 ranked athlete, or top 21st ranked athlete in the world. He's there's just no slowing him down.
There's not, particularly with his shooting. As the 42-year-old pulls into the range, he's picked up a hobby over the course of the last couple of years, brewing his own beer now. Simon Eder.
Just watching the splits out on course now. Fabian Claude skiing fast. And taking out time to David Zobel, who still leads after prone. A miss for Eder, a very uncharacteristic start for him.
And you hear the roar of the German crowd as Simon Eder misses one, but the roar, of course, was for Philipp Navlat, who has started his journey on home snow here in Oberhof.
A very rare miss for Eder as he goes to the penalty loop. He's been 96% accurate this season in prone, and so a very uncharacteristic miss will put him in the penalty loop and out of the top standings after shooting number one. Vitaly Manson comes in with a relatively solid time against Zobel, 11.3 seconds back, but there's got to be somebody coming soon, and it looks like it's going to be Fabian Claude from bib 36, who's lighting up the first lap of this course.
And not too far behind him as well, Martin Ellard going well through 1.9 kilometres. His Produchny, as his compatriot misses one. Produchny already has a miss from the prone position. That's now 2 on the day, and make that 3.
It's just too much, too many lapses of concentration for Produchny. Like I said, I think it's relatively easy for your eye, especially in the prone position, to see the target. But that liability sort of increases from the standing position. When you stand in a foggy day, it's harder to see the black and white difference because the barrels move, the sight picture is moving a lot more. Prone is fairly stable, so it feels confidence. But when it's foggy, it's a little bit harder from the standing position just to see the clarity between the black and the white in the flat light. So maybe a little more challenging from standing, but not a ton more.
Here's Jesper Nainleen, who comes in trailing by 8.3 seconds. But as we look back, David Zobel now the 20th fastest shooting time. So can he make up some of the time? Jesper Nainleen in the range. He's going quickly through his first 4, and that's 5 out of 5, and the Swede is away.
That's a good start for him, and quick shooting. You can see he's going to make up a lot of that time that he's behind Zobel on the shooting range, as you suggested, Ellen. So comes in behind and leading 5.8 seconds. He makes up about 3 seconds on Zobel.
Well, here is the fast-flying Fabian Claude, who's whizzed around his first lap and comes in 5.4 seconds in the lead. That time of David Zobel has stood from bib number 5, this bib 36, and Fabian Claude starts with a miss.
I just wish you could see Fabian Claude just on one day maybe just come in and be super solid from the prone position after a fast ski round, but seems like he's just always just a little too unsettled. He's very fast, he's regularly fast, but it's just rarely does he clean.
Philipp Horn in the start gate for Germany. His first podium in Hochfilzen in the sprint. How he'd love to back it up here on home snow.
And home snow for real. He makes his home here in Oberhof. He's an Oberhofer by residence, so he's literally racing at home. Wow. Gunko with an opportunity to take the lead, but he drops the last shot. Classic 10th shot miss.
Here's Sebastian Stolder. 2 final ceremonies on the World Cup, personal best of 5th.
Stolder, middle of the pack, basically right in the middle of the statistical skiing category, where he's 0% to the average of the field, and Emilien Jacquelin will chase him out of the start order.
And chase, you imagine he will do. Had question marks over whether he would travel to be here in Oberhof, and there's been some really good reporting just around the decisions that have been made by the French team with regards to their athletes and when they may take breaks ahead of the Olympic Games. Here's Delitsa, who starts with a miss. That's now 2 after Well, such a good first half of this race. 3 times around the penalty loop he'll go. The standing position really throwing up some problems for the youngster, Chad.
Well, he really knew what he had to do, and you see that he's mastered the very quick rifle relocation to his back. David Zobel comes across the line now. That's going to be the fastest time by 27.1 seconds early in the start order. But Zobel's time very solid. But you can see Galicia, just the lack of experience. He kind of came in and went on autopilot when he really should have probably taken a break after his first miss and resettled.
And an opportunity to take the lead for Martin Ellard will be taken. 10 seconds he has to get through the gate, which you can see there marked on the side of the course. And we will have a new leader finally from bib number 40. It was bib 5 who held that point for such a long time, and recovering well, Isak Fry of Norway. He'll go 9 out of 10, the blue bib. And, well, he will take the lead now coming out of shooting too. So David Zobel's time, Chad. Well, we had to wait a long time for both to be surpassed, but they're surpassed within a couple of seconds of each other at various points of the course.
And Fry has sort of picked up his pace compared to Zobel all through the course of the competition. He had a miss from the prone position. Zobel was clean, but Frey started to put a little more pressure on the ski speed through 5.2 kilometers, making time on Zobel, and then he shot a little quicker as well from shooting number 2. And Frey now with the fastest shooting time, 21.6 seconds, and that's the difference between him and Zobel in the long run, because Zobel had to go to the penalty loop. Uldal leading by 3.8 over Zobel. So this is a good performance by Zobel. If you consider Uldal already has a win in his career in the sprint.
Yeah, and this season as well too, but both coming in Östersund. He hasn't stood on the podium since. 2 silver medals as we watch the shooting of Vitislav Vornik, who's now just 7 out of 10 for the day and twice around the penalty loop in his final visit to the range.
We're not seeing any really great obvious performances right now with misses from both the leaders after shooting 2. It suggests that maybe that somebody with less than awesome ski performance can win with a clean shooting day, but also somebody with spectacular speed can win with a penalty or 2.
Well, we are waiting on the arrival of Campbell Wright into the range. He has flown around the first lap. Now, can he back it up with clean shooting as Lucas Hoffer goes 5 for 5 and he breaks the position and is away? Where will this put him? And he's going to take the lead here, Lucas Hoffer, while charging quietly and making up for it really in the work he'd done on the range. He goes into first as we're back to shooting 2. Michael Kritschmar.
Here's Campbell Wright now.
Conclusion of his shooting as we flick over to Campbell Wright. He comes in 14.4 seconds in the lead. Lucas Hoffer, the new leader at shooting 1 of 2, surpassing the time of Uldal. And here's Campbell Wright, who is flying. Can he make it 5 for 5? We'll have a new leader by some margin, and it's the American Campbell Wright.
It's going to be big, and somebody needed to push that first loop and shoot clean. And Campbell Wright is the guy to do it. Leads by 15.6 seconds as we go to the finish now, as Braunhofer moves into the 3rd spot at the finish. But Campbell Wright lighting it up in the first lap, came in with a massive lead into shooting 1. He's got Philip Navrath now challenging him at 5 seconds back, coming into prone, but Wright lighting it up.
His Terry Seppala has 1 miss in the prone position.
Has to stay clean here. That's not going to do it. Philip Navrath now, look at the time, 5.1 seconds back of Campbell Wright, which is 6 seconds faster than Fabian Claude. We want to point out that Wright's first lap was 11 seconds faster than Claude, who we thought was skiing pretty quickly. But Navrath is on form.
Navrath, and it's applauded by the German home crowd. He won't take the lead, but he won't be too far away here, Chad.
No, and when Philip Navrath is in good form, you have to be careful, especially if he shoots clean. This is a guy that can win a sprint competition, but he's very up and down in his season, and he usually trends. He doesn't, you know what you're getting, and you know what you're going to get for a few weeks at least. So right now, Philip Navrath comes into the season, second part of this season, and looking very strong, trails Wright by just 3.9 seconds after prone.
has one sprint win. Philip Navrat, that was from the sprint in Östersund in 2023. We see Christensen out the gates. Salmela drops down into the position. He comes in trailing by 14.5 seconds, Chad, and how much of that is a statement to the work done by Campbell Wright on the first lap?
It's a tale of two different approaches. I think Salmela is holding back to try to hit his shots, and he's going to try to do that quickly. And if he can stay clean, can probably take up some of that time, but there's a miss. Campbell Wright getting the better of Salmela now, and Salmela's going to have to go 2 times around the loop and pick up his ski speed. Wow, that's big.
And here is his compatriot who loves racing here in Oberhof, Sebastian Samuelsson, who's come into this season, Chad, with much better consistency than we saw from him at the start of last season. Yeah,
you know, you kept wondering why he's not winning or doing, you know, at least taking, he has no victories this season. Yeah, no victories this season. Got just 2 podiums, but he hasn't finished worse than 12th. So Samuelsson has been very consistent, and I think that bodes well for the Olympic season. He's just trying to keep his form ready for the Olympic Games, and he's proving that he can keep the training load high and still be competitive.
No Stella Holmlegreid or Johan Olaf Botten here this weekend. It's Eric Perrault who goes 5 for 5. He came in trailing by 3.5 seconds. Keep your eyes on the time as he comes out of shooting one. He'll be looking to close the gap at the World Cup leader. As he will race here on 2 more occasions in Oberhof. And into second goes Eric Perrault, trailing Campbell Wright by 3.3 seconds.
So things are tight. We know that Campbell Wright has often gone out and just kind of thrown caution to win and often slows in the last lap. But I have to say, he looks at another level now. So you see Jesper Nelin takes the lead from Isak Frey after standing now. So both the lead changing at standing now, as Nelin is the new leader clean. Fastest and cleanest through shooting 2.
It's Philip Horn, trailing by 6.3 seconds. He's won podium this season, his maiden podium on the World Cup, as the stadium falls silent behind him.
Hometown boy, he shoots here every day in the off season. This is his home range. Takes his time, but he gets them all. He's going to fall outside the time of Campbell Wright, but he's still got through the prone clean. That's the key.
Across the line comes Jan Gunke in 5th for Poland, 9 out of 10 on the day and 46 seconds, almost 47 behind the time of the leader. A really challenging day for Fabien Claude. Chad, it started so well, but twice around the penalty loop to make it 3 loops for the day.
Yeah, he's a guy that can always compete in a sprint competition. He's fast enough that if you can just get the targets down, it would be a great. He has a chance to win every single day, but he's only 73% standing shooting on the year. So that shooting statistic is kind of keeping him off of the top rung of the podium. He's yet to win a World Cup, but he's certainly got the speed to do it.
There's Emilien Jacquelin comes into this weekend full of confidence, trailing though by 15.9 seconds and a miss, so he'll adjust his sights here.
Yeah, not looking as aggressive or confident as we've seen him in competition so far. He's a little bit passive on his setup and also has 2 misses now. And that's a tough spot to be in with a pursuit coming off of this sprint competition.
Well, pushing towards the line, Isak Frey, but he won't be the new leader at the finish line. It will remain David Zobel of Germany as Isak Frey goes into second. 1 miss on the day, that in the prone position, and just 5.2 seconds behind the time of the early leader, David Zobel. Here's Martin Uldal, who comes into shooting 2, 6.2 seconds in the lead. He's made a good start here, Chad.
If he can stay clean here, he's going to take the lead for sure, and he misses, which evens it up with the shooting with Nelin. Nelin is clean. Frey has a miss, as does Zobel. So Uldal skiing about even with the likes of Zobel at this point. As he heads to the penalty loop, it's about a 22-second loop. He heads in 17 seconds down. So despite the miss, the leaders still all at the front of the leaderboard with 1 penalty on the day, begging the question, who can go clean? Uldal goes outside the time of Nelin now. Could Jesper Nelin hold on with a clean shooting day in Oberhof with everybody else missing. Uldahl into second ahead of his teammate Fry.
Well, here's someone who'll definitely be up there to challenge. Johannes Dahle-Shevdal coming in just 2.2 seconds behind the very fast time on the first lap of Campbell Wright. Let's take a look at his shooting.
Ski time of Campbell Wright, standing up to the strongest skiers in the field, the two Swedes. Samuelsson has yet to come through, but Ponsiluoma not faster than him, and Dahle-Shevdal, oh, the miss!
Just narrowly on the edge of the prone wing, and Johannes Dahle-Shevdal will be once around the penalty loop. A disappointment after such a good performance at Annecy-le-Grand-Bonnard. Here is Tommaso Giacomel, who comes in with a 2.1 second advantage. He's moving quicker than Campbell Wright. Let's see what he can do in the range. Lucas Hoffer, his compatriot, in for his second shooting stage as well.
Italian fans on the edge of their seat as both athletes now in the shooting range. Hoffer's 9 for 9, and he misses his 10th. The veteran.
Miss for Tommaso Giacomel as well, so he'll be once around the penalty loop. But of course, showing his prowess on the skis. He's not out of this just yet. Here's Kritschmar across the line, 9 out of 10 for him into fourth.
In the finish, everybody in the top, or the top two athletes have a penalty each. Sobel and Frey. Sobel really rising to the occasion today, and he could make the Olympic team just off of this performance for Germany. Still leading at the finish. Here's Campbell Wright now.
Here's Campbell Wright, our leader.
Miss. Looked unsettled there. Resettles. Skiing fast enough that a single miss would have done it, but two penalties for Campbell Wright. His chance for his first victory looked like they've evaporated.
Here's Quentin Fillon-Maillet coming in 4.3 seconds behind the timer. Campbell Wright, who of course now has two misses in the standing position. Clean so far. There's the miss for Quentin Fillon-Maillet.
It's just that one of those Oberhof days. It's not terribly challenging shooting from the look of it. But everybody sustaining misses now. As Seppala has two misses into fifth place, 32.5 seconds back. So with Seppala in fifth with two misses, it makes you wonder what Campbell Wright can do in this final lap of skiing. Now Navrath with every chance to win today. And boy, would the Germans love a victory in Oberhof.
Well, he has a decent advantage here over Jesper Nalin. Nalin, though, clean, 10 out of 10 on the day. Can Philip Navrath match him?
No.
There's a miss. Keeps it to just one. He'll be once around the penalty loop.
Here's Vetle Schuster Christensen now, bib 66. But he's off the pace. But knowing everybody ahead of him has penalties from standing, the door is open for Christensen. It's just his skiing not quite what it needs to be right now. He'll have to pick up the pace a little bit and strategize how hard he wants to come in standing. Oh, but that miss. Just a little bit. Everybody's just a little bit off today. You can feel it. It's not a tough shooting day, but 9 for 10 might win it today.
And Philip Navrath will go into the lead by 2.7 seconds as we see Vitaly Manzin coming towards the finishing line, and he will be just outside the time of second. And so hard through the fog to see the context of where he is on the finishing straight, and he is now across the line in third for now, 14.2 seconds, but we do coming not too far behind him. Jesper Nalin is making his way around the final lap. He is our leader, and you can see him there just through the fog. We will have a new leader. It will be Jesper Nalin, who has never won on the World Cup. He only has one podium, and that was from the mass start in Oslo a couple of years ago. But an excellent performance from Jesper Nalin across the line, 10 out of 10, 16.4 seconds, his advantage. Is this his day? As others falter around him. Eric Perrault, though, well, he will want to see his name atop the table, but it is one miss. Now two misses for Eric Perrault.
Jesper Nalin might get his first, at least he can get a podium today, which would be spectacular for him. But the shooting performance, just not for the top athletes, just not what you would expect. And we're down to just a few more athletes left to shoot standing. Jacomel still has to come in, Dale Shevdal, Philip Horn, but Perreault in the penalty loop for 2 laps. And how will that stack up against Navrat?
Yeah, eyes on Navrat. Eyes also on Martin Uldal, who, despite having 1 miss, is leading at 8.6 kilometers. It's a 4-second advantage over Jesper Nalin.
Yeah, Uldal trying to throw it all down on this last lap. And he's 7.1 seconds ahead now of Nalin. He left the shooting range 4.3 seconds back. So
the gap is growing, and it's growing quickly. A big lap. He's only won 1 World Cup race before. That was the sprint in Annecy-le-Grand Bonnard last season.
And you could just feel the pressure on Philip Horn to win at home here. With a clean shooting stage, he could have won, possibly won and taken the lead here, but a single miss on the day. He's going to be in the number, but does he have the ski speed to ski off that penalty and still be among the leaders? And clean shooting would have almost sewn up a chance at the win for him at home.
Well, he made a good start around the first lap, Fabien Claude. Couldn't back it up in either of the shooting stages. 3 misses on the day, 7 out of 10. He's across the line in 9th, has work to do in the pursuit. As here is Martin Uldal, who is fighting up the inside line on the climb, and just look at the ground he's made up, Chad. He's flying on this final lap.
Setting down, and he's doing it off a 20.2 shooting time, so the fastest shooting time at 20 seconds. And Uldal using that shooting, that rifle technique where he finishes shooting and puts it on his back very quickly. The fastest guy setting the trend for rifle removal and putting it back on his back. And he's going to take the lead here ahead of Nalin, it looks like.
And
he had Nalin by 7 seconds.
Well, I think it will be more than that when he crosses the line. A significant margin, a significant lead for Martin Uldal, who is back to his very best. And will this be a second victory on the World Cup as he hits the deck? He's given it absolutely everything. You feel today the Norwegian team working towards a greater purpose, and Martin Uldal goes into first. 9 out of 10 in the range, but he has given it all on the skis.
You can see the effort it's taken out of him. This Oberhof course is going to pull everything out of every athlete because of the difficulty of that Bricksteig is such a long climb. It's about almost 6 minutes of climbing. And he comes across the line almost delirious. Lucky he didn't break his rifle stock there, landing on the snow that way. But he can attend to that later.
Now we watch further down the course as Philip Navrat is making an excellent charge around the final lap as well. His teammate Justus Strelo, who has 2 misses, and well, Chad, the struggles continue for Justus Strelo in the standing position. He assured things slightly in the prone and looked back to where we expect him to be in the shooting, but 3 times around the penalty loop, and that's well, incredibly costly with his hopes in the pursuit as well.
No, he's a great relay specialist. So just put him in a relay. That'll fix his shooting almost for certain. Here's Campbell right now. 2 penalties coming through the 9.2 kilometer mark, just 13.7 seconds back, making time back. So Campbell Wright is made 6 seconds on Nalin in the last lap so far. So Campbell Wright is not slowing down. He just has the 2 penalties that probably is going to cost him the victory today.
And will it cost him his first podium on the World Cup as well? We'll have to wait and see, and just see what he's got left in the tank on that final lap. Here's Lukas Hofer, who's coming towards the line. He'll fall outside of the time of Martin Uldal. We expect the next person to challenge that time will be the German Philip Navrat, as Hofer fighting through the fog, and he's across the line in second for now, 12.1 seconds behind the time of Martin Uldal. And what a big final lap that was.
Well, he's tied with
Jesper Nalin.
Yeah, tied to the 10th, so their second place is tied. And Johannes Dalishevdal now cleans from the standing position after one missed prone, and he's going to lead. He's going to fall back just about 12 seconds back, even with Campbell Wright. Actually, 7 seconds faster than Campbell Wright. So Dalishevdal is on the prowl for a podium position. Tommaso Giacomel goes 9 for 10.
Well, where will this place Tommaso Giacomel? He came in trailing by 7.7 seconds. He had a miss from the prone position, but has gone clean in the standing, and we will surely have a new leader as he comes out of the range. And it will be by a significant chunk of time here, Chad. 20.4 seconds. Tommaso Giacomel leads.
And it's exactly the amount of shooting time he had on the shooting range, the gap between him and Uldal. Second fastest shooting time to Uldal by 0.2 of a second. So Giacomel doing very well. But here's Campbell right now. He'll come across the line in 4th. And that is a coulda, shoulda, woulda situation.
Yeah, well, absolutely, Chad. You put it so perfectly. As I'm sure we'll come back to it. Philip Navrat now coming towards the line.
And this will be the new leader.
Yeah, he has provided a big final lap, the German, with the support of the home crowd who'll just be able to see him through the fog, and he's across the line in first, 18.2 seconds. But how long will it stand for? Because Tommaso Giacomel is out there and he's charging, and still, if he stays clean, maybe until that point, Quentin Fillon-Maillet could have challenged the time as well.
2 misses, though. He's just not. Quentin Fillon-Maillet has to find those. To find the winning ways, he's got to find the magic on the shooting range again. But Philip Navrat, looking for his 2nd career victory, gives the heart pump to the family, to the home nation. German fans have been waiting for a win in Oberhof for years now from a German male.
But will today be the day? He'll be looking over his shoulder at Tommaso Giacomel. Here's Eric Perrault.
Sitting in 3rd at 9.2 kilometers. It's not enough to probably take the lead from Navrat. Navrat throwing down a great ski performance.
And he's losing time on this final lap as well. Eric Perrault after coming out of shooting 2.
Perrault relying on his ski prowess to deliver his 4 career victories. Just a beautiful skier, great technique. Here's Philip Horn now. He's 9 for 10 as well. He's falling outside the time of Navrat. Same shooting, but trying to challenge for podium spot will fall outside the podium spots at 9.2K in 4th. So Germany in 1st and 4th at 9.2 kilometers. That is a good showing for the German team. Got to feel good about that. Sebastian Samuelsson now. The last chance to break in and maybe upset Giacomel and Navrat. Oh, he's 9 for 10.
Hesitates on the last. Sebastian Samuelsson has to resettle himself. And the time is ticking away, and it's ticking away fast, and it is advantage Tommaso Giacomel.
And he misses
there's
it.
the miss. Oh. Well, Chad, it's so challenging when you see the time tick by like that. Eric Perrault goes into 3rd for now, 19.3 seconds behind the time of Philip Navrat. We are still waiting for the progress of Tommaso Giacomel.
So you look back at that. Do you think that Sebastian Samuelsson wants a win? I mean, you think about his whole season. He's got 2 podium finishes. He's sitting 4th overall in the standings. He's been spectacular, except for the fact that he has no wins. And that was an opportunity to win there, and he overthought it. It just shows you the human nature of these athletes who spend so much time trying to not think about what they're doing, that it still creeps in the moment. And you'd think that somebody as experienced as Sebastian Samuelsson would have been able to overcome it, but he succumbs to it and goes to the penalty loop, and the result is he's not going to win today.
Here's Philip Horn, who's making his way through the fog towards the finish line. The German fans will see the flashes of the black, the red and the yellow, but it isn't enough for a win today, and I think he'll find himself just off the podium. For now, it will be 4th.
So Tommaso Giacomel on the final lap. His course time, he had the fastest course time through shooting 1. Lap 1, he Campbell Wright setting the times.
And here he is, and this is Tommaso Giacomel at 8.6 kilometers. The time advantage that he had cut slightly as he's come out of shooting 2 and round to the 8.6 kilometer mark. But remember, of course, as well, that Philip Navrat was gaining and really growing into the final lap as well, so that will account to some of the time difference there. But Tommaso Giacomel still the leader at 8.6 kilometers.
The third lap right now, Navrat is sitting in the clubhouse with the fastest time in the third lap by 7 seconds over Ponsalona and 8.7 over Perot. He skied the last lap alone 10 seconds faster than Martin Oldal. That's a big last lap by Navrat. We can't assume that the likes of Dale Shevdal or even Giacomel will absolutely take that down, but
into third though. Yep, goes Dale Shevdal, 17.9 seconds behind Navrat, and well, just over a second behind his teammate Martin Oldal. Can he sneak into second? All eyes on Tommaso Giacomel.
He's lost 5 seconds to Navrat since the shooting range, but holding on to 15 seconds still. That's a good sign for Giacomel to take this home. Just 0.8 of a kilometer left to go for the Italian to take the lead.
No one out of shooting 2, with 70 athletes through that point, has been able to challenge his time as yet. Here's Johannes Dale Shevdal, who's receiving the information from the Norwegian coaches who cheer him on and encourage him forward on the side of the track. Into the finishing straight he comes around the final bends as we look back to Tommaso Giacomel. Through 9.2 with a 15-second advantage as Johannes Dale Shevdal looks like he can go into second here. He's cut the time of Martin Oldal, and he will push him down. Gritted teeth, digging deep, pushing everything through the skis as he comes towards the line. Keep your eyes on the time of Martin Oldal, and it will be a medal today for Johannes Dale Shevdal, who's across the line in second.
Great skiing by Dale Shevdal. That's what he relies on. But here comes the man who started a minute back. Tommaso Giacomel, leading at every time check, is going to come in even with a miss and lead by double digits.
And there is no more fitting winner today. On the day that we remember Sivert Guttormbakken than Tommaso Giacomel, his close friend, his training partner, and that, no doubt, was for a greater cause. He said he felt ready to race, he wanted to come here, and he did it for the greater purpose today. Tommaso Giacomel,
in line to win his 4th World Cup, and what a emotional moment for him and the his Norwegian teammate today, we'll call him, Johannes Dale Shevdal. These athletes so affected by the loss of their good friend.
well, that means everything.
It does, absolutely. Dale Shevdal in the 3rd spot. Samuelson not able to muster the speed that Giacomel has. In fact, he's, even with a penalty, he's only the 5th athlete with a penalty on the day. So Samuelson, who's been out skiing the field, he's actually the fastest skier statistically this season up to this point of the field, and he's well off that time. So it makes you wonder if maybe his training load is a little bit heavy coming into Oberhof.
He has good history here, doesn't he, Chad? Won the mass start at the World Championships, but as you can see as he makes his way around, just not his day today, and maybe right to question the load that he comes into this race with, as we see Quentin Fillon-Maillet.
I mean, that's always an issue in a major championship year, especially an Olympic year, this Oberhof weekend. If you're going to really mount a fitness bump for the Olympic Games in a month's time, you can't come into this too rested. You need that period to bounce back in about a month, in about 3 weeks from now. So you'll often see some of the stars maybe not at their very best fitness, but Tommaso Giacomel absolutely flying today. Fillon-Maillet trying to stay inside the top 10. He'll do that for now. One clean shooter in the top 10 right now.
Well, yeah, Chad, that's something that just caught my attention as well. It's Jesper Nalin who's sat level on 7th now with Lucas Hoffer. And it started so well, didn't it? We had so many clean athletes through the first shooting stage, and particularly the early bib numbers. But as you look further down, everyone in the top 6 with at least 1 miss, and Eric Perot sat in 5th with 2.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it's a tough shooting day. I mean, the fog matters. The fog makes it a little bit challenging. Like I said, in standing it is tougher. And the shooting misses, there are more misses from the shooting range from the standing position than any other. So that figures and makes sense. But to only have 1 clean shooter, Jesper Nalin is tied for 7th with Hofer, is the only clean shooter in the top 10. I'm seeing 5 in the top 30.
Well, the next best in terms of shooting accuracy is Thierry Longer, bib number 4. He finished 16th as things stand, of course, with Sebastian Samuelsson just about to come over the line, and he will be in the top 10, but will just miss out on a podium place. He's across the line in 4th. Narrowly ahead of Martin Oldal by 0.2 of a second.
But in pretty solid position for the pursuit competition. If you think about Sebastian Samuelsson's ability in the pursuit competition, he is a solid performer, and that's a good proximity to the lead group as we see Martin Nevland, bib 103, get his start today, courtesy of the lack of presence in Sturlaholm Lagride and teammate Johan Olaf Botman. Meanwhile, his teammate Vetle Sjöström Christensen coming in 4 misses on the day, and an off day for Vetle. He's going to come in just inside the top 50.
5 out of 5 for Martin Nevland, the Norwegian, making his World Cup debut today. He's had a good run at things on the IBU Cup the last couple of weeks. Mass start 60 winner in Lenzerheide just before the Christmas break, and twice he's been the junior world champion in the pursuit and junior world champion in the sprint as well in 2023.
Christian in the 49th place. 4 misses on the day, just 1 from pro and 3 from standing. Clearly not in his greatest headspace at the moment, and he'll shrug that one off.
Well, you applaud each and every one of the Norwegian team for just getting up and being here today and this weekend, and the continued work that they will do over the course of the season to honour the memory of their teammate. And of course, we look at Tommaso Giacomel, who has performed to his very best, and of course we know, having heard him speak this week, that has come from a greater place, and he's found real strength in being back amongst the biathlon family. But it's not going to be the same for everyone, Chad, and patience is required with everyone who was close to Sivert Bakken and everyone in the IBU family, because grief, as we all well know, affects everyone differently.
Yeah, it's somewhat of a surreal experience in a lot of ways that these athletes are going through. Certainly no precedent for it, and there's still so many questions unanswered, but the biggest thing is that I think that these 2 athletes, particularly Giacomel, he said himself that he knows that Sivert Bakken would want him to pick up and drive on and get back to racing, and I think it's probably inaccurate. I mean, who knows, but I'm certain that they all feel that at least, and that there's probably some solace that comes in the fact that Giacomel can come back and perform, and feeling like he's doing what his friend would want him to do.
Well, they did so much of the hard work together, and a beautiful dedication as Tommaso Giacomel comes across the line, and to recover as well from dropping that first shot on the first miss he had in the prone position, as we see Henning Sjöqvist. Someone else who's stepped up. He stepped up in Annecy Le Grand Bernard, up from the IBU Cup where he'd started his season, and given the nod once again here in Oberhof. course, Chad, as we see some of the numbers flash back here, we look at these later bibs, 105 going in the men's race today, and as we see the latter bibs all coming through the prone visit to the range, and of course 87 they're going through the standing visit. The target is 60th, of course, ahead of the pursuit, and we can just update you on some of the times. Of course, no racing tomorrow, so the men's pursuit is on the 10th, so that's Saturday at 12 o'clock Central European time. That's the men's 12.5 kilometre pursuit. That'll be followed by the women's relay, and then in the switch, of course, the reverse on Sunday, where we have the men's relay at 11 o'clock Central European time and the women's pursuit later on. And of course, following on from this men's sprint today, owing to bad weather forecast for tomorrow, we will have the women's sprint this afternoon at 2:15 Central European time.
Oberhof now from Slovakia, trying to go clean on the day. Let's have one trip around the loop at least, but made a good performance. Trying to stay within the... Generally, if you can stay within 2 minutes of the leaders, you have a pretty good shot at making the pursuit competition in the top 60. So Oberhof is going to try to do just that. He's got one time trip around the penalty loop. Probably be tantalizingly close to that 60th spot. Martin Nevlin now with 103. Having a good race so far, the Norwegian.
Keep our eyes on him as he comes through. 5.2 kilometres, he's up in 18th. Oh, what a debut this would be for the Norwegian, 24 years old. Here's Klemettinen of Finland coming towards the line. He'll have well and truly secured a top 60 finish ahead of the pursuit on Saturday.
Nice performance for Jimmy Klemettinen. He's going to be in the 35th spot for now, and fairly comfortably into that pursuit competition.
Not too far away from some of his best performances. His best in a sprint before today was 53rd in Oslo at the end of last season, and then climbed incredibly well that day to finish 34th in the pursuit, I should say, that weekend, as we see Connolly of Canada. He has one miss in the prone, performed very well indeed in the stand, and that's 5 for 5, 9 out of 10 on the day for the Canadian.
It's nice shooting for him, and just getting his feet wet in this World Cup. This is a good see where he winds up after heading on the course, but he's going to be inside the top 40, so huge day for Connolly. Previous World Cup best is 43rd, so he's inside that right now. If he can keep this up, he's going to move into the pursuit competition where he had his best finish in the sport in Canmore in 2024 at home in Canada. Finished 43rd off of a sprint that had him in 58th. You can see the humidity in Giacomel's hair. The air in Oberhof usually very humid. The trees, this thick spruce trees, can hold in all the moisture of the wet air that comes through there, and it's aromatic. You can smell the spruce trees when you walk through the forests of Oberhof. Even when it's -6 degrees like it is today, it's a pretty wintry day, but still the humidity is clearly very high with the fog, and pretty classic Oberhof. You can smell it in my mind's eye.
A 10 out of 10 in the range for Dujin Troy. Outside of the top 60, so no pursuit for him. There's plenty of positives to reflect on with his performance in the range.
Alexander Mukin, a long-time competitor for Kazakhstan. He was the World University Games winner in Lake Placid 3 years ago. World Cup best of 16th right here in Oberhof 2 seasons ago. So Mukin at his best has been in the top 20. Today, though, quite a bit off that pace.
And you could see in the final shooting stage there, Graham Benson of Great Britain making his World Cup debut today, the 19-year-old.
Here's the effort now of Nevlin. 22 years of age. 24 years of age, excuse me. Currently ranked 48th in the sprint competition in the IBU Cup as it comes to the World Cup.
He's having a very good day today indeed. Let's see if he can back it up in the final visit to the range.
Yeah, the expectations of the Norwegians are just so high. And Nevlin coming from the IBU. There you see the wind. It's not terribly challenging. It's a pretty consistent wind. Not enough to really affect the shooting scores the way I think we're seeing it affected. I just think it's maybe a break in the competitive action. Let people a little bit off their game on the standing shooting today.
And just one miss for Martin Nevland of Norway, but he will still be in a very good position, Chad, even though he will make his way once around the 150-metre penalty loop, making his debut today, and well secure in his place in the pursuit and finding himself in an excellent position as well. You look at that shooting, the potential to climb up on Saturday morning, and well, he looks like another promising prospect that the Norwegians have been able to drag up from the IBU Cup.
And I think the other thing that to consider is probably going to get him on the relay. If he finishes in the top 4 Norwegians, he'll get that spot on the Norwegian relay team tomorrow, or excuse me, on Saturday, or on Sunday. They'll do this pursuit Saturday and relay on Sunday. But Tommaso Giacomel is celebrating his victory here today.
And it's a victory that is, much as it will be celebrated, it is tinged with so much pain, so much weight, and well, a spectacular performance in any circumstances, but particularly in the ones where he finds himself in, and you have to really give him his flowers today for what he has done. His 4th World Cup victory, what a start to the season he's having.
Indeed, great season so far. He's going to take his 2nd sprint victory of the season. He won in Hofilton earlier this year.
First time this season that a sprint has been won by the same person, Chad, and of course a narrative that will continue over the next couple of years as we wait to see who will emerge as the next king of the sprints after the departure of Johannes Tingesbo.
Well, Tommaso Giacomel has certainly thrown his hat in the ring for that title with a win today. Did 89 across the finish line there. That was Borgula of Slovakia coming in 30th spot. Great performance for him. It's his personal best. 46th, his best coming into today. In Kontiolahti in a single short individual last season. So Borgula currently sitting in his high water mark. Good for him.
So our eyes still on Martin Nevland. His way around his final lap. Left the range for the final time, sat in 20th. Once around the penalty loop. He had to go his final visit.
Sitting at 20th after the 2nd shoot. Here is the Canadian effort now, bib 91. Zachary Connolly at the 9.2 kilometer mark. Picking up nearly 2 minutes on his teammate, bib 91. Just ahead of him there, that is Logan Pletz. So Connolly got a little bit of help from his teammate on his final loop. Pletz and Connolly together. good day for Zachary Connolly. Coming up the top of the Bergsteig. Germans almost got their win today.
Yeah. Look back at the race of Philipp Navrat, who was looking for his second World Cup victory. In the end, bumped down by Tommaso Giacomel, but a really impressive display, Chad, particularly that final lap.
Yeah, I mean, when he's in this kind of shape, it was an opportunity for Navrat to really light up his German crowd. It fell just 13 seconds shy of doing that, but still the Germans looking for anything they can in excitement in the way of men's biathlon right now. They've been struggling with the popularity and the effectiveness of Norway and France. In recent years, Germany has really kind of been overlooked and supplanted as the most competitive team. 20 years ago, Germany was just a powerhouse in the sport and almost couldn't be beaten. But really not operating at that level anymore. So anytime you have a German potentially winning in Oberhof, it's a big deal. And so Navrat is carrying the hopes of a lot of biathlon fans that will show up this weekend, especially in the tens of thousands on this venues, and carry the country's hopes with them. And in the meantime, Zachary Connolly comes across the line with a 46th place. Nice performance for him.
Nevland in 20th still. He did briefly jump up at around the 7-kilometre mark into 19th, but hasn't been able to keep hold of that. But still, Chad, a top 20 finish as he's looking at this point would be an incredible performance on the day from the man who stepped up from the IBU Cup.
It just shows you the level of both the IBU Cup and the Norwegian team that he can step in here, and even with a 9 for 10, not even a perfect day of shooting, he's going to be fighting for a top 20 finish. And the IBU Cup level quite high.
Maybe trying to stay ahead. We spoke about that 4th Norwegian place. Currently, the 4th place Norwegian is 19th, Sverre Dalen Astenes, making his 8th World Cup start today, but his first since Oslo in 2022. And well, amongst the results, that one has kind of passed us by. 2 misses, Chad, but performing well on the skis, seemingly to finish in the top 20 for now, and he'll be hoping that he's not supplanted by Martin Nevland, who has his eyes on breaking into just into the top 20, but trying to get past his teammate Astenes.
Yeah, and then it remains to be seen whether they'll actually go straight off the results today for the men's relay this weekend, or if they'll actually put in Vitlashos Christensen, who had a pretty rough day today, 68th spot. He's not even in the pursuit competition, so they may end up putting the veteran in that relay, despite the difficulty he had today. Remains to be seen what happens, but nevertheless, Nevland and Aspenes have to make hay while they can in the strong Norwegian team and just do the best they can and try to get what they can out of this World Cup opportunity they've gotten. But great performance on the skis today, particularly by Philipp Navrat. Just 6.9 seconds off the fastest course time of Dalashevdal. It was 1.7 seconds faster than Perot. Giacomel, 2.5 seconds course time slower than Dalashevdal. Navrat 4th on the day, but Navrat making up some of that time on the shooting range. Shooting in 54.7 seconds total. The best of those 4. Here's the effort of Nevland now.
Just 8 bibs across the line. Martin Nevland across the line in 20th, and he finishes just behind his teammates Astenes, both of them stepping up from the IBU Cup, where they've had good performances over the course of the first 3 races of the season. An impressive debut, Chad, and definitely plenty to take in terms of positives, but you feel as well room to build on as well for the debutant today.
Absolutely, 24 years of age, his first World Cup. He looked pretty happy with it when he crossed the line. I think that the top 20 in the World Cup is nothing to sneeze at. So, but it was Tommaso Giacomel who outdistanced everybody really with great ski performance. Fastest course, third fastest course time of the day, and matched it with fast shooting. 48.9 seconds on the range for Giacomel with a miss. I think the most amazing thing is that not a single clean shooter in the top 5. Campbell Wright finishes 10th for the United States, continuing his strong season, and the 2 misses showing what he could have done. But this is a sport of everybody thinking what they could have done today because the shooting wasn't perfect. A few more competitors on the course now.
Well, of course, you mentioned there, no one in the top 5, Chad, no one in the top 7 even with clean shooting, just one in the top 16. Spinelli, they all need to shoot clean, and he finished 8th, but there'll be plenty of eyes on that with the women's race to come very, very shortly. Around an hour's break we have between the 2 races. It's a quick turnaround as our final bibs come towards the line. Cool. Slovakia did 105 across the line in 55th and into the pursuit.
Personal best for him. Previous best 79th in Annecy earlier this season in the sprint. So nice job for final starter Martin Matko. He's overtaken this man 101 for Belgium.
This is Matko of Belgium, the 26-year-old, but Matko, 20 years old. That's just his 4th World Cup start. Only made, as you say, Chad, his debut in Hochfilzen. Started on the IBU Cup in Oberhof, and he's found his way into the pursuit for the very first time. Watch the way to kick off 2026 for that young athlete.
Yeah, it's a you always want to step up to the World Cup, and at that level, nobody really keeping tabs on the young Slovakian, but at 20 years of age, in his 5th start, he gets into the pursuit. It's a great step forward for him in a developmental process. You never know, we might be calling his name near the front of the field over the coming years. At 20 years of age, he's still got some development to do.
Here is our final bib. Welcomed home. Mark Mackles across the line, bib 104. Across the line in 98. 3 misses on the day for the Belgian. And that concludes the first of our 2 races here in Oberhof today. A day of reflection. And really, Chad, there is no man more fitting of being given the gold medal today. And, well, we do really look forward to hearing from Tommaso Giacomel, because that was a race, of course, won by him, but you feel not by himself today.
Well, he had a pretty big inspirational push behind him, and you feel good for him. It's a good outcome for what everybody's dealing with today. The man who was supposed to train with Sigurd Bach in the day he passed.
Navrat takes 5th World Cup podium of his career. He finishes in 2nd today. Hannes Dahle Shevdal continues his good form and takes the bronze medal. Just 1 miss on the day. The top 5 all with 1 miss each. Sebastian Samuelsson in 4th. Martin Oldal taking 5th. A really valiant finisher, Martin Oldal. Left it all on the skis and threw himself across the line. Eric Perot rounds out the flower ceremony. 2 misses from him.
Perot will drop down to 3rd spot in the World Cup overall standings behind Giacomel, who moves up into 2nd. Behind Johan Olaf Button, who's not here today. Gap now just 39 points between Giacomel and Button on the overall standings. In the discipline standings, then Giacomel started the day in 4th and moves all the way up 3 spots into the lead by 34 points over Botten, who again is not present, and Perot stays in third with 191 points. So Jacomel will get the red bib going into the next World Cup weekend in Ruhpolding.
A German double-header, as we so regularly see on the World Cup. A short trip over to Ruhpolding after Saturday's or Sunday's competition even concludes, and we kick things off on the 14th of January at 2:30 Central European time with the women's relay. The men's relay follows the next day, and well, it's all nicely spread out, isn't it, Chad? No double days in Ruhpolding. We like to take our time over there.
Well, they get that big crowd from Munich to roll in from Wednesday to Sunday and increase ticket sales and the impact. It's one of the biggest, if not the biggest, World Cup weekend of the year, every year, the Ruhpolding World Cup, and might as well stretch it over 5 days.
More fun for us. I said no double days, but actually the weekend ends with a double day, doesn't it, in the pursuit? All of this chopping and changing of the orders this week has caught me out. Here's a roundup of the men's World Cup total score, as Chad's just explained as well. Tommaso Jacomel up to second, Eric Perot drops down to third. The gap is cut to Johan Ola Botten. Of course, he's not here this weekend, so an opportunity arises now for Tommaso Jacomel to take the lead, depending on how things go in the pursuit that he will lead out at 12 o'clock Central European time on Saturday.
Tommy, that was a very special competition today, which started with the tribute to Sievert, and then you crossed the finish line in first. How special was this win for you today?
It's one of the most controversial days in my life, I think. It's at the same time one of the saddest and also one of the best, let's say, on the sport side. So it's a lot of mixed feelings, but I think Sievert will be really proud of me today.
Actually, you mentioned yesterday that you would do your best to make him proud. Were you thinking about this during competition, and is this your tribute to him today?
Before the race started, for sure, and then I just tried to come in the race groove and not to think too much about that. But on the last loop, the coaches told me, you're doing that for yourself, but also for him. And I think this gave me something more to give.
You did an amazing job today. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, Chad, you can really feel the emotion in the words there of Tommaso Giacomel, and so poignant. I think what his coach said to him on that final lap, you've done it for yourself, and of course you're doing it, and he will continue to do it for the rest of the season and for the rest of his career, for his close friend Sivert Bakken. Chad, you can understand the internal conflict that's going on in the mind of Tommaso Giacomel.
Yeah, it's you feel conflicted for sure, because while this is what everybody spends their time working toward, these victories, these accolades, these perfecting the performance, it's still in context to your mortality. It's a big emotional question for all these athletes as to whether it's the right thing to do or how to feel about it. And clearly Giacomel will have there's a pride in winning today for his friend, but it's still, there's always going to be that conflict, I think, with anybody in that situation, and it's understandable that he's not elated about the victory, but it's probably better than the alternative.
Well, I still think back to just those powerful images. Of course, he mentioned it there, thinking before the race and the tribute, Chad, but particularly him stood there with the Norwegian team. It's fitting that he ends the day on the podium with a Norwegian.
Yeah, I think Johannes Della clearly affected emotionally at the start of the competition. Vetle Christensen as well. The entire Norwegian crew was had a hard time with the ceremony, as they knew they would. And both Botten and Lagride choosing not to come to compete this weekend, feeling not ready for it, and they'll get back to it at their own sense of the right time to come back. And I think that's only right. Everybody's going to be affected differently, and clearly Giacomel feeling more, and as well as Della feeling more inspired than anything else today to honor their friend with high performance, and they did that.
Yeah, we must say on this is the word given by the Norwegian team as to why Johan Olav Botten and Stella Holmgren haven't travelled, and of course you feel it's not just an emotional weight that grief has its toll, it's the physical side as well. And well, they've both spoken about the priority of particularly Johan, the priority of going to the funeral and ensuring that they can be there to support the family and show their respects to someone who was not just, of course, an exceptionally talented biathlete, but someone, of course, who was a friend, a family member, and so loved by everyone here in the sport, and well, no more so really than Tommaso Giacomel, who has done everything he can today to honour his friend in the best way that he feels that he can do. So here is the flower ceremony for the first of our two races today, and a change to the programming here in Oberhof owing to the challenging weather. And they are led out by the Italian Tommaso Giacomel. Against all the odds and despite the challenges that he has faced over the course of the last couple of weeks.
Biathlon Oberhof 2026.
Atop the podium.
Willkommen zur Siegerpräsentation für den Sprint der Herren. Die Ehrung wird vorgenommen durch den Staatssekretär für Sport und Ehrenamt in der Thüringer Staatskanzlei, Herrn David Möller. das Vorstandsmitglied der Internationalen Biathlon Union, Dr. Franz Steinle, und den OK-Chef und Geschäftsführer der Oberhofer Sport- und Event GmbH, Herrn Bernd Wernicke. Wir gratulieren zum 3. Platz. In 3rd place für Norwegen, representing Norway, Johannes Dahle Schäfter.
Johannes Dahle Schäfter points to the black armband, which has been worn by the athletes today in remembrance of Sivert Gottorm Bakken.
Auf dem 2. Platz, in 2nd place für Deutschland, representing Germany, Philipp Navrat.
A proud moment for Philipp Navrat, who stands on the 2nd highest spot on the podium in front of the home crowd. A valiant final lap. 5th career podium for the German.
His first ever on home soil, or home snow, I should say.
Und wir gratulieren zum Sieg im Sprint der Herren. The winner of today's competition für Italien, representing Italy, Tommaso Giacomelli.
An emotional Tommaso Giacomelli. He came out yesterday and said that Sivert would want him to race and continue to honour his memory out here on the snow.
Auf dem 4. Platz, in 4th place für Schweden, representing Sweden.
Sebastian Samuelsson continues his consistency this season. He's not finished outside of the top 12.
If you take that 12th away, not finished outside the top 8, so, or top 9, excuse me. So he's a top 10er almost every single race this season.
Martin Ellard.
Und auf dem 6. Platz, in 6th place für Frankreich, representing France.
Fifth, an emotional day for all of the Norwegian team. As Eric Perrault rounds out the flower ceremony. He will start 6th in the pursuit.
Worth pointing out, Martin Roldahl hasn't competed since the sprint in Hochfilzen, so a nice return to form for him. It was a little bit of an Olympic year. Anytime you have an absence like that in the middle of the season, it's a little bit concerning.
Well, he will hope that the illness has come and gone early enough. We did see a number of athletes drop out of the competition in Annecy-le-Grand-Bonnat because of illness, and we have a similar mix as well, and a chunk of names that we'll highlight as we go into the women's competition later on this afternoon. We're just over an hour away from the start of competition, so do stick with us here on Eurovision Sport. The women's sprint competition here in Oberhof kicking off at 2:15 Central European time. We hope you join us there.